Hello there, this is lesson 3 on how to make a lead sheet in Sibelius, and most of this lesson will be covering keyboard shortcuts, but first we're going to enter some more of the notes for this chart. So we're on bar 3. Since it says preview here, we're not actually in Sibelius, so I'm going to click on the Sibelius score, and you can see there's the keypad. And of course, we've gone through this in lesson 1. You could pull up the keypad and view panels, and it's right there. And the shortcut for that is Option, Command, and K. And there it is. So we're going to click on the third bar, and again we have to enter a quarter note that is dotted. Now there's two ways I could do that. I could do it like this, push N for new or new input, and push the quarter note on the keypad and then the dot. And now I'll hit A on my keyboard, computer keyboard by the way. Now I'm going to undo that. And this time, not on this keypad, but on my computer keyboard, I'm going to push the number 4 and the decimal point. And you can see that gives me the quarter note and the point on the keypad. And now I will push A again, and it does the same thing. Now our next note is a 8th note. There's a couple ways to enter that. You could do it by clicking here on the keypad, or if you have an extended computer keyboard like I do, you could push number 3. Now I'm going to show you another method. I'm just going to push the right arrow on my computer keyboard to move over to the 8th rest. And a lot of times I use that method. So now the 8th rest is already selected. I'm just going to push D on my computer keyboard. Now the next two notes are quarter notes. We'll select quarter in the keypad, press D twice. Now you can see the next note is tied over. It's a whole note D with a tie. So to get the tie, I'm going to push enter on my keypad. Now I'm going to go to whole note and push D on my computer keyboard. I'm going to push escape twice to deselect everything. Now let's say I didn't input the tie. I'll delete it. The way you get it back is you could do it two ways. I initially used my computer keypad, but you could also go here to the Sibelius keypad and just push tie here. Pretty cool. Now let's say this wasn't a D, for instance. Let's say it was an A. Well, we're no longer using a tie then. What you would do is you would select the D, it's already selected blue, and you would push S, and that gives you a slur instead of a tie. I'm going to undo that now. Now let's say we were slurring quite a few notes. Starting from this D, slurring to the A. I would push S to start the slur, and then the space bar to extend it. So I've extended it to the whole note. Now let's say I extended it too far and I only wanted to extend it to the B. What I would do is I would push Shift space bar, and that retracts the slur. Pretty cool, huh? So now we're going to go back to what we should have in the chart here. D is a 8th note and 2 quarter notes with a tie to a whole note. So I could just drag this down to a D. I'm going to use the up arrow and push Command and select. Both these are selected. While holding down Command, I'll push the down arrow. I'll select the A and just use the down arrow on my computer keyboard. Okay, I want to tie here, so I'll click and select this note so it's blue, and then I'll push Enter. Either on my computer keypad, which I have, as I stated earlier, I have an extended computer keyboard that has its own keypad. Or you could select the tie here. So we'll continue. N. Quarter notes already selected. I could push rest here, or on my computer keypad I could push 0, which I'll do now. That gives me a rest. Now I'm going to enter A, B, and C. I pushed escape twice. I'm going to select the whole bar, push Command and up arrow. Great. We're going to repeat this by pushing R. Sometimes I prefer seeing the bars in front before I start composing. So in order to get more bars in my score, I push Command and the letter B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. So now I have 10 extra bars. It's still a little weird to look at, so I'm going to turn this multi-rest off. And the way you do that, for one thing, if you forget what it is, you could use the ribbon. It's kind of like a Google search for Sibelius. So I'm going to type in M-U-L-T-I, the beginning of multi-rests. And here it is. Layout breaks show multi-rests. Toggles the display of multi-rests on and off. It is currently on, meaning the multi-rest is showing. So I could turn that off. And there we have all the multi-rests. So we're going to go back to our chart. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these two bars. I'm going to click Shift. Now I'm going to click on the first empty bar here while pushing Option to copy the two selected bars. Now the reason I did that is because this rhythm here is the same as this rhythm here, but the actual notes are different. So this should be a D. I'll push the up arrow 3 times, and then I'll select these notes here by pushing Shift, and I'll push the up arrow to make them all G's. And that's like a little shortcut to actually inputting the notes. Now the chord changes here are different from what they should be. We have A minor 7 to D7. So what I'll do is I'll double click quickly here, and I'll select the G6. I slid from right to left, and now I'm going to push Shift A dash 7. Same thing here. I'm going to double click really quickly and slide over to select the large B, the small B4 flat, and the diminish sign. And now I'm going to, on my computer keyboard, push Shift D and then 7. That's how you change chords that have already been inputted. Cool. Now I'm at the end of the first day section. Now what the real book chart does here, the PDF I have, is they put a double bar line here, and then they repeat the first 8 bars. Embrace me, my sweet embraceable you. Embrace me, my irreplaceable you. So what we're going to do instead to save space is we're going to put in a first ending and a repeat sign. Now the first ending would go on the 9th bar. Let me push escape to deselect twice. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First ending. Now I'm going to push L for line. And you'll see up here is the first ending. I'm going to click once. And presto. There it is. I'm going to expand this a little. You can see it doesn't expand to go to the next stave. Now I've been working on the vocal part instead of the score, which I do sometimes, but it's really best to work on the full score and then switch over to the vocal part to do minor fixes. So I'm going to stretch this over as far as I want. And you can see it's a little far, so I'll unstretch it. Let's say to here. There we go. Now from the part you could straighten it out. Okay. The part is formatted really well. The score, I don't like this many bars on a stave, but see, I normally work this way in Panorama, like this. So I haven't got it set up right here. That's because I'm usually doing not just lead sheets, but several instruments, from a duet up to a big band. In this score, I'm going to change this to VC for vocal. You select it, and type in VC. There we go. In fact, we could do away with this entirely. Now, I don't like this space here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to push Command D, and I'm going to go to short names. This is document setup. And I'm going to go to short names and make this 0, and no names and make this 0, and push OK. And that's more like it. Now we have more space. Now to make this more tenable, I've taken a shot of my document setup from another chart that I like a little better. And you could see the staff size is 0.28, so I'm going to change that on the chart that we're working on. This is document setup, and again, you get there by pushing Command plus the letter D. We'll leave the margins alone, and we'll push OK and see what it looks like. It's a little better. Now you see we're looking at the full score, and what it looked like formally was that. And by making the staff size a little bigger, it also means there's fewer bars. It also means there's fewer bars in each stave, which is the look I want. So now the full score looks a little more like the vocal. It's a little more comfortable. Another thing is I could pull the full score tab over. That's nice. That was one of my requests to the Sibelius team many years ago. Similar to the Safari browser tabs where you could pull things over. I'm not saying that they did that because I suggested it as a feature request. I'm just happy it's there. Okay, now we're going to continue with what this lesson pertains to, really. And now, after half of our score is done, I'm coming to an exciting part of this lesson, which is making keyboard shortcuts, because that makes you more proficient and efficient and makes your workflow much easier. Now, the way you do this is you have to make your own set of keyboard shortcuts, and I'll show you how that's done right now. First of all, you go to Preferences, and you could do that by going up here to Preferences, and you see there's your shortcut. It would be Command, comma. Now, normally I'm using my own user copy of shortcuts here that I made. And the reason for that is if you go to Standard Menus and Shortcuts, which is where the default setting is, and you try to start any keyboard shortcut, watch what happens. We'll try to put in a double bar line here, which is one thing I'd like to do. We're on Keyboard Shortcuts, Notations tab, double bar line. Now I'm going to try to add something here. But you can see it says you cannot add shortcuts to the standard menus and shortcut set. Would you like to create a new set? Well, at this point you're going to push yes. And it's based on the default set. You leave that the way it is. And I'm going to put in test here since I already have my own set called Richie's set. Now you push OK. And OK again. So now we're going to go to the Notations tab again. And we'll go to double bar line. Now, if you're using the computer keyboard to input A, B, C, D, E, F, and G as notes, you may not want to use D for double bars. And you see here it says it's used for create D, and that means the note D. So we're going to push no unless you're using a real piano to input notes like I am, and you don't need those keys A through G. So let's make believe you're using the computer keyboard. You don't want to use the letter D, so we'll push no. Another option is Shift plus D. And in this case, you needn't delete the D here. You just push Shift and D, and you see it shows up. Now you push OK, and it'll say it's being used for add pitch D. So we're going to push yes, since D is already adding the pitch D. Now let's delete this double line here. What I did was I clicked on it and just pushed delete. Now I'm going to click on it again, and this time on the computer keyboard you'll see I'll push Shift and then D. Voila, there we have it. Now another great shortcut that I use a lot is the close repeat and the beginning repeat signs. Now normally beginners will go up to the Notations tab, choose bar line, and get start repeat and end repeat. And that's a lot to do, so I'm going to make keyboard shortcuts for those two. Start repeat and end repeat. So once again I'm going to go to Preferences, but this time I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut of Command and comma. So again, we're already lit up on keyboard shortcuts. We're going to go to Notations tab. That's already chosen. So now we have to find Start Repeat Bar Line. And there's End Repeat Bar Line right next to it. So we'll do them both quickly. Now for my shortcut, I use the bracket, open bracket, to start repeat bar line. See what happens when that starts, when we do that. You see it says scrub backward. Now if you care about that, don't use the open bracket, use shift and bracket. So you would push no, and then push shift, open bracket, and push OK. I don't care for moving back a single frame, so I'm going to push yes. And repeat bar line, the same idea. If you push close bracket, push OK, that means you're missing scrub forward. I don't care about scrub forward personally, but if you do, you're going to push no and choose another keyboard shortcut. In this case, we're using shift and close bracket. Shift, close bracket, OK. I don't care about moving forward a single frame. I'm going to push yes. Push OK. Now we'll delete these two. Stop, repeat, start, repeat. I'm going to click on this bar line and push shift and close bracket. And there you have it. Now for this one, you see there's no beginning bar line. So I'm not going to select anything. What I'm going to do is push escape twice. And now I'm going to push shift, open bracket. And you see my cursor has become blue. And that means it's live. And if I click right near this key signature, you'll see we get the repeat bracket. And that is really cool. And I can't tell you how much I love making keyboard shortcuts. It will really help your workflow and speed up your progress in Sibelius. Now I want to go back to preferences for a minute. I'm going to keep this test user copy because that's what I'm using currently to teach these lessons. But I want to show you something really quick. If you're working from a laptop, what you're going to do is you're going to go to Notebook, Laptop, Shortcuts. And it won't say use a copy like it does here. What you're going to do is select it. And then what you're going to do is go to Edit Feature Sets. And you're going to check it. You're going to click on it so it's selected. And again, it won't say use a copy. And what you're going to do is you're going to duplicate it. And you see this is a second user copy. There's a 1 there. There's no number here. And then what you're going to do is push OK. Now I'm going to delete that because I don't need it. Yes. So in other words, if you tried to work off of this Notebook, Laptop shortcuts and it did not say use a copy, you would get a notice saying that these shortcuts cannot be used. Now this is very important. If you're doing hundreds of scores, you're going to find that keyboard shortcuts will speed up your workflow tremendously. Now we're going to add just a few more bars. I'm going to push Command B, and let's say I wanted these 4 bars to be their own stave. I could do that a couple ways. I could click here and push return on my computer keyboard. But what I often do when I'm formatting is I'll select these 4 bars and I'll push the letter Y to make into a system. Make into a system, I'll type up here, is under Layout, Format, Make into System. And the keyboard shortcut is Option Shift M. I'm going to undo that. I have my own set of shortcuts, and like I said earlier, I prefer to make life easy for myself, so I use the letter Y to make into a system, and I use the letter U to make into a page. And I'll show you how to set that now. Again, we're going to go to Preferences, which is Command, comma, to open it. We're going to go to Layout tab. Now sometimes you could go crazy because you don't see the tab you want here. You have to realize you may have to slide this slider upwards so you could see all your tabs. So if something's missing, be careful. It might be above, and you just move your slider like so. But we are going to Layout tab, and there is Make into System. And you could see your normal shortcut is here, which is Shift Option M. I'm going to leave that, but I'm going to add a shortcut. In other words, I could delete it if I want, but I see no reason to do that, unless I was going to use this keyboard combination for another shortcut, but I'm not. So I'll push Add, and now on my computer keyboard, I could leave this alone and just push Y on my computer keyboard. Now I push OK. Move playback line to selection. It's already set for. I don't care. I'm going to override that. Yes. Now the other thing I want to change is Make into Page. I want to make the letter U is my shortcut. You see Make into Page is here. I'm going to leave this shortcut. Push Add. Push the letter U. And OK. Now the cool thing about this now is I keep my right hand on my mouse. And let's say I wanted to make a page from here. I'm pushing Shift now and clicking. Now with my left hand, I just push U. And that makes into a page. If I want to make it into one staff, I push Y. So the great thing about this is I could multifunction. I have my right hand on my mouse at all times, and my left hand is on the computer keyboard, and I could do things rather quickly. Now I'm going to put things back to the way they were by pushing Command Z. I like the way that looks. I'm going to push Command S for save, because I do that a lot. Now some people rely on autosave in Sibelius, and I don't rely on autosave for any program. I'm continually pushing Command and S to save a chart or a word processing file or anything I'm working on after any major change, or every 5 minutes, because 5 minutes is all I'm willing to lose of my work. So I'm going to make this screen a little smaller now. And we'll finish up this lesson by adding 4 more bars. Now we've already got the first ending. We're going to put in the second ending. I'm going to select this bar and push L for lines. And you can see there right next to first ending is second ending. So we needn't enter these first 8 bars. We'll start here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're going to start on the C major. This bar is selected already. I'm going to push N for new input. We're going to hit rest. Now I'm going to use the Sibelius keyboard so you can see how this works. Select 8th note. We're here. Come to Papa do. So that's a G. This is middle C, by the way, C4. So we're going to go to G here. Now a dotted half note. The note being a D. And now rest, quarter note. My sweet embraceable you. So quarter note is already selected. My sweet M. Now this is a dotted quarter note. The quarter note's already selected. Hit the dot. brace, eighth note, the syllable the syllable bull, embraceable. Now I did that on purpose. I want to show you what happens when you make a mistake. I did not input a half note as I'd like to. I could do a couple things. I could deselect it. I could hit escape once. The note is selected, and I could push half note here. Another thing I could have done, since it's in note input mode, you could tell because as I move the cursor around, wherever I click, I could put a note in. You could also see this slight blue line here that is vertical, and that means you're in note input mode. Now the other way I could do that is by clicking the back arrow, and that just selects the note before where the next note would have been inputted. Now I could do the same thing and click on a half note. And there we almost have it. It's looking pretty good. Now I could take these bars and do this by pushing Y, and that looks a little nicer. Now a lot of people in the real book world like 4 bars per stave. You could do that quickly. And it would look like that. But the natural flow of Sibelius looks very nice. So I'll put it back to the way it was. We're going to add 2 more bars. Command, press B twice. And we're going to put in a whole note G. Push the back button and go to whole note. Now, right here we need a double bar. So I'm going to click on this bar, and I'm going to push Shift plus D. And there you have your double bar. I want to thank you for watching this 3rd video on how to make a lead sheet in Sibelius, and I hope you enjoyed all the information I gave on keyboard shortcuts and how to create them and how to use them. It will really help speed up your Sibelius workflow and make you more proficient. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.